Ever get the feeling like you're talking and the other person just isn't getting it?
Oh, absolutely. Like we're speaking different languages.
Totally. And that's where this Team Me system comes in, right? It's like we've been handed a dictionary for these conversations.
It's funny you should put it that way because Team Me is all about understanding what makes people tick.
And it uses these things called archetypes.
Exactly. 6 recurring archetypes, to be precise. The sovereign, warrior, sage, mystic, lover, and jester.
And we all have these archetypes inside us.
To varying degrees, yes. Think of it like a recipe.
Okay, so like everyone has a dash of salt, but too much, and it's yuck.
And some people are drawn to spice, while others have a sweeter palate. It's about your own personal blend.
Okay, I'm kind of getting this. But paint me a picture. What's it like to actually meet someone who really embodies each of these archetypes?
Well, let's take the sovereign. Imagine someone who walks into a room and instantly commands attention.
The CEO who everyone stops to listen to.
Exactly. A natural leader. But of course, like all archetypes, there's a flip side, a shadow side.
Let me guess. Too much sovereign, and they might become a control freak.
You got it. It's all about balance. Now, how about the warrior? Driven, focused, always striving to win.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
My brother's super competitive, always needs a goal to chase. He's definitely a warrior.
Probably. But the shadow side there might be pushing too hard, never slowing down.
Burnout city. Okay, what about this sage archetype? Are we talking about like the wise old owl type?
In a way, yes. Think knowledge seekers, deep thinkers. They thrive on understanding how things work.
So someone who loves to learn.
Exactly. But their shadow side might involve getting stuck in their heads, overanalyzing everything.
Been there. All right, what about this mystic? Sounds very esoteric.
Think intuition, gut feelings, a strong inner voice. They often have a way of just knowing things.
I like them already.
But they can also seem a bit detached, maybe even aloof, especially in their shadow.
Lost in their own world.
Precisely. Okay, now we've got the lover and the jester.
This is where it gets interesting, right?
The lover, despite the name, isn't just about romance. It's about connection, seeking harmony in all their relationships.
So someone who's all about peace and love.
You could say that. But their shadow side might lead them to seek external validation a bit too much, always needing approval.
So maybe a bit insecure deep down. And the jester. That sounds fun.
They bring the fun. Jesters are all about playfulness, lightening the mood, and making people laugh.
The life of the party. But maybe not the best at handling serious stuff.
Their shadow might be avoiding responsibility or struggling to stay grounded when things get tough.
Okay, so we have our 6 core archetypes. Sovereign, warrior, sage, mystic, lover, and jester. And you've mentioned this shadow side to each. Give me the lowdown on that. What's that all about?
So the shadow isn't about being bad or wrong. It's more like...
Like the archetype's dark side.
Well, it's more nuanced than that. Think of it as the overheated or frozen version of each archetype. It's where our potential pitfalls lie, the ways our strengths can trip us up if we're not careful.
Gotcha. So like a warrior's drive is awesome until they're working themselves to the bone.
Exactly. Their positive warrior traits become distorted when they're out of balance.
Okay, now that is fascinating. So understanding these shadows is kind of like having a heads up, right? Like, hey, watch out for this potential pitfall. Don't let your strengths become weaknesses.
You've got it. It's like a user manual for your personality. Team Me doesn't just point out the shadows. It helps you work with them.
Which makes sense because you can't just ignore them and hope they go away, right?
Exactly. They're part of who we are, but we can learn to manage them, integrate them into our lives in a healthy way.
Okay, this is really resonating with me. So let's say someone is listening to all of this and they're thinking, okay, I'm intrigued. How do I actually get started with this Team Me thing? Where do they go from here?
Well, there are a couple of ways to dive in. The first is their power profile, which you can actually take right now on their app. It's teamy.app.
So like a quick personality snapshot.
Exactly. It identifies your 2 most dominant archetypes based on a short assessment.
Okay. So what about the other option?
The full spectrum profile that goes way deeper. It maps out all 6 archetypes, strengths, shadows, the whole shebang.
That was intense.
It can be, which is why they usually recommend working with a certified practitioner to unpack it all. Think of it like...
Like having a personal guide through the jungle of your personality.
Exactly. You get personalized insights and strategies tailored to your unique archetype blend.
Makes sense. So I know you've also been checking out their practitioner certification program. Is that something you're thinking about pursuing?
I am. It's really calling to me. And from what I've seen, it's not just about memorizing a bunch of archetypes. It teaches you a whole methodology for actually applying these insights.
So it's practical, something you could use in your work.
Absolutely. Whether I'm coaching, teaching, even just navigating my own relationships.
It's like learning a new language for understanding yourself and others.
Exactly. And the program really emphasizes the ethical considerations too, which is so important.
Because this isn't about putting people in boxes, right? It's about fostering empathy and understanding.
100%. It's about using this knowledge to build stronger, more authentic connections with the people around us.
It's almost like this teamy model gives us a new lens for seeing the world. One that helps us make sense of all the messy, complicated ways we interact with each other.
It really does. And the more you understand these archetypes, the more you start to see them everywhere. In your coworkers, your family, even in fictional characters.
That's so true. I bet we could spend hours analyzing our favorite movie characters through the lens of Team E.
Oh, absolutely. That would be fun.
Okay, so let's say someone listening to this is totally on board and wants to learn more. What's the best place to get started?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, that power profile assessment on the TeamMe app is a great first step. It's quick, it's free, and it gives you a taste of how the model works.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dip your toe in before you dive in head first, right?
Exactly. And if you want to take it to the next level, the full spectrum profile is where you really get those personalized insights, especially if you can work with a certified practitioner to really dig into it all.
Now, I know some people might be hesitant to put too much stock in these sorts of things. Like, it's just a personality test. How much can it really tell me? What would you say to that?
I think there's a difference between just taking a test and really engaging with a model like Team Me. This isn't about putting yourself or others into rigid boxes.
It's more about understanding the motivations behind our actions.
Exactly. It's about recognizing patterns in our behavior and using that self-awareness to make more conscious choices.
And to have more compassion for ourselves and others when we're struggling.
Exactly. Because, let's face it, we all have our moments.
That's for sure. So to wrap things up here, for anyone feeling stuck, feeling like they're not quite speaking the same language as the people around them, give Team Me a try. It might just change your perspective. Head over to teamme.app and take that power profile. And as you're exploring this model, I'll leave you with one final thought. Knowing what you now know about these archetypes, what's one relationship in your life, personal or professional, that could benefit from this deeper understanding? It's something to think about. And who knows, it might just unlock a whole new level of connection and understanding.
I love that. That's a great question to end on.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. I hope you all enjoyed exploring the world of Team Me as much as I did. Until next time.